Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Deckbuilder. It's pre-release time here at Gone Rogue Games, and it's kind of tradition on this channel that I open up a pre-release kit and kind of talk about how I feel with the set and the mechanics I like and whatnot. So I've actually not even looked at any spoilers for Spider-Man, just a few glances here and there. So this will be new to me as I open up the cards. So it's been a while since I showed my ugly mug on this channel and kind of the store here and give you kind of an update on my life. I know I don't post on this channel very often anymore. I'm more posting over on my Gone Rogue Games channel because this is a typical type of video I do. I just pick up the camera and talk. It works out well for me. I'm enjoying it. Yes, it is a lot more low effort content, but it is what it is right now as we've been so swamped and busy with the scaling of our business. So we are still alive and kicking it for all the people that wondering what's going on with us. I sound like a broken record, I know, but one of these days I hope to get back to creating some Magic the Gathering content. I'm actually more excited to start producing this content. One Piece. Now, I know nothing about anime. All I know is that One Piece right now feels like Magic the Gathering in 2016 when everyone was so hyped about actually playing the game and trading cards and building decks, and all the discussion was around building decks, that it's just a breath of fresh air. Now, a bit of a rant before I get onto the video. I've been so frustrated with the direction that Magic the Gathering has gone with the collectability over utilities, what I've been ranting about on my Gone Rogue Games channel, that it's no longer fun for me as a store owner and even as a player when all of the energy is just into collecting the damn cards and flipping cards. If I have one more young age kid comes in and instead of wanting to play the game, they want to talk about flipping and, triple Xing their money and getting their cards graded, I'm going to lose it. That's not what I got in this business for. I got in this business, first of all, it's kind of just like a happy accident where I started producing content, got picked up by some sponsors and went around and traveled and played Magic the Gathering. Many of you might know me from those years. And then when the opportunity arrived for me to actually start a local game store, I took that risk, and here we are now, like 11 years later, I think, of owning and operating this store of Gone Rogue Games. So anyway, I'll quit rambling. If you do like these rambly type videos, though, I do highly encourage you to come over to my Gone Rogue Games channel. It's actually growing. I know this is pretty much a dead channel. It's kind of sad. We went from 32,000 subscribers at the height to pretty much a dead channel now. But if I ever do get the energy and the zeal to do Magic the Gathering content again, you will definitely find me here doing it and building decks and brooding decks. And maybe, who knows, maybe it's Spider-Man that will be the set that actually gets me back into brewing. I've had fun with Edge of Eternities and kind of my pet card Kona, and been playing a little bit of Arena doing that. However, again, I'm just spread so thin with managing a business, with creating content on the various channels, and trying to explore other games at this point that Magic is kind of taking a back seat at the moment. Anyway, here's Spider-Man, the pre-release. Let's actually go ahead and open up this bad boy and see what we get. See if we can, if you like this camera or not. I have like a more expensive camera I used to do these openings for, but this one seems to work the best. So all right, like I said, I haven't even seen a lot of product review for this set yet. I don't know what's even in this pre-release kit, and I don't know the mechanics that well off the top of my head for Spider-Man. So this is going to be an interesting little experience for all of us as I kind of read through the cards and give you my unaltered opinions of the kind of a first look at Spider-Man. So we got our promo going to be the interdimensional web. I don't know how well we can read the text on these. Everything's just a wall of text now in Magic the Gathering cards. So interdimensional web watch, 4 mana. When this artifact enters exile, the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. So, in an effect, is kind of like a draw 2 if you can play them in the next 2, and you can add 2 mana of any color in any combination of colors to spend it to cast exiled spells. Now, there's going to be a lot of synergy with this type of card with exiled spells. I know that was a very big kind of mechanic in the last set with Edge of Eternities, with being able to warp things in. So I think this does have some legs there with the synergy with the last set. And this is highly playable in like a pre-release limited type environment. Is it a bomb? Absolutely not, but it definitely is something that could be splashed in decks depending on how good that mechanic is or that effect is in this set. Now I'm thinking red probably has some exile effects. Typically they do, and it might go in like a shell like that. All right, so we have a Romantic Rendezvous. Discard a card, then draw 2 cards. They actually printed at sorcery speed. I don't know why this is like the 15th one they printed this. And one of the things that they were getting away with these type of cards is they're adding some sort of set-specific mechanic to this. So this is kind of a letdown because, yeah, they used to have, again, maybe discard a card, then exile the top 2 cards of your library. I don't even cast them in the next 2. I don't. Again, that wouldn't work the best with this. But is this actually strictly better than most of them that have been printed? No, there's instant speed ones. Isn't that Thrill Possibilities does? So this is kind of a weird one at that point. I'm kind of disappointed with this card. All right, the Professional Wrestler. I mean, these are good cards, though, in Limited for sure. They're just basically card advantage. Professional Wrestler, a 4/4 for 4 mana. When this creature enters, create a treasure token, and this creature can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Kind of a filler card. It's definitely on curve, though. Creates a treasure to ramp into your 6-drop, and you like your 4 into your 6 the next turn. So it's not terrible, but it's just, again, nothing you get excited about. That's basically commons at that point. Scorpion Sting is absolutely a card you're going to want to be playing Limited, as it's going to, kind of the rule of thumbs with a lot of limited environments, especially like actual sealed, is bears kind of run the game, and a bear is basically a 2/2 for 2. It's just the best. How Magic is kind of set up with the curve, that is kind of the sweet spot of like a card that actually just justifies its slot no matter what. It's like a 2/2 for 2 mana. So the Scorpion Sting being able to kill a 2/2 and possibly even anything up to like a 3 or 4 mana cost, I think is a very good card at instant speed. We have a Wild Pack Squad. Wild Pack Squad is a 2/3 for 3 mana at the beginning of your combat on your turn. Up to 1 target creature gains First Strike and Vigilance, so it just comes in and gives something First Strike. Very, very filler at that point. The Doc Ock Sinister Scientist. So as long as there are 8 or more cards in your graveyard, it gets space power of 8/8. So it's kind of like a threshold effect. As long as you control another villain, it gets hexproof. So probably a little bit too tough to make it work in Limited. Yeah, another very filler card. Doesn't have trample or anything like that. Hexproof is kind of mesh at that point. As a 4/5 is just going to get chump blocked all day long. If it's 8/8, it's going to get chump blocked as well. So not a big fan of that card. The Spectacular Tactics, a 2 mana, put a +1 counter on target creature you control gains hexproof, or destroy creature's power at 4 or greater. Now this card is actually bonkers because it is a card that's always going to be relevant. It's going to protect your other cards against some sort of removal, and if you just have to use it as a pump spell, you can use it as a pump spell. Triggers Heroic. I don't know if that's an effect in this one, but this card's actually insane. Very, very good card for the Spectacular. So I'm going to kind of set aside the ones that I like so far. We have the Pumpkin Bombardment. Additional cost to cast this, use discard a card or pay 2, and it deals 3 damage to target creature. So this is great. 3 mana to deal 3 damage in either splashable black or red. Very a good on-curve removal spell. You can actually reduce it by discarding card. Anything that synergizes with discarding cards can actually make this card a little bit better. So it's definitely a card that is very, very playable. We have Scout the City. Mill 3 cards. You may put a permanent card from among them into your hand. You gain 3 life. Or destroy target creature flying. So again, this is a very good card because of the options here, because the mill 3 and put a permanent and gain 3 life is going to be relevant. If you're going against a, like you draw this late game, there is a flying creature, this is definitely going to be a very, very viable card. So I'm liking, again, these Spectacular Tactics, like these type of cards I'm really liking how Wizards of the Coast is like putting sideboardish cards with like other ways you can actually play them in Limited. You know, a lot of people say this is well balanced more for best of 1 arena. I don't think so, because that's still going to be tuned and you're not going to be running cards like this. This is more for like Limited, where it gives you a lot of options with particular cards. It's just not like, oh great, this is only giving you effect as a sideboard card. You can safely put it in your main, and it's going to be relevant no matter what. We have Shriek Tremblemaker. As at the beginning of your first main phase, you may discard a card. When you do, target creature can't block this turn. So if you push through damage, whenever a creature an opponent control dies, it deals 1 damage to that player. Not bad as an uncommon. Not as good as the other cards, definitely, that we have in this pile. I'm going to kind of put this in the tier 2 pile. We have the Secret Identity. Conceal. Until in turn, target creature you control becomes a citizen with base power and toughness 1/1 against hexproof. Again, it's another way to protect your cards. This is also unblockable on things that has counters, a lot of relevant things. Or you reveal until in turn, target creature you control becomes a hero with base power and toughness 3/4 against flying and vigilance. So this card works really well with like tokens, because it's always the base power is gonna then read with like auras or tokens. And these type of cards have definitely seen play in the past, even in constructed formats. So not a bad card again. We have the Rhino Barreling Brute, which is a 7 mana 6/7, Vigilance, Trample, Haste whenever it attacks. If you've cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater this turn, you draw a card. This is a great little top end if you are in a Gruul. The 6/7 Vigilance, Trample, Haste. Vigilance is actually incredibly strong in Limited, as you can then have a blocker back, as well as, I mean, it's all about board states. It's all about not knowing when to attack, or knowing when to attack, and Vigilance kind of solves that problem for a lot of decks. So it's going to be very hard to cast, though, for 7 mana for 6/7, so it's kind of underwhelming stats at that point. The drawing is pretty neat, though. We have the Oscorp Industries. So, all right, so we get the Tri-lands basically again. This land enters tapped. When this land enters from a graveyard, you lose 2 life. And then it has the Mayhem ability. You may play this card from your graveyard if you discard it this turn. The timing rules still apply. Okay, so it's like you have to discard it and still have to be able to play your land on your main phase. So it just basically wants it. So basically you can't play it on an opponent's turn unless you have some way to play it on an opponent's turn, but it doesn't give that, so yeah, this actually is an insanely strong. This mana base is crazy. Again, I haven't even looked at these spoilers, but this is definitely a very playable card. Tri-lands in them themselves seem to be playable. You do lose 2 life if it happens to come from the graveyard, but that's a massive upside. If you do mill, if you have some sort of mill strategy where then you can actually play this on the turn, like it's just strict card advantage at that point, where milling, if you discard, okay, never mind. So it doesn't work off milling, it works off discarding. So it just does really like help these like romantic rendezvous type cards, or anything else has like discard on a stick. There we go. There's another one right here with the Pumpkin Bombardment. So really cool card. Of course, you don't want to see a land as your rare slot in limited because you don't even know you're going to be in those colors, but it is a welcome addition nonetheless. All right, we have a 2/2 bear, which is exactly what I'm talking about, and it also can pump itself to a 4/4. Very good card. You're typically going to play these in limited. All righty, we're in 10 minutes in this. Maybe I'll go a little quicker. Of so far, liking the mana base for sure. And we have the Henchman, which is a flash 2/1. Whenever this creature attacks, it connives. So they're bringing back Connive, which is actually quite strong because there's quite a few abilities right now in Standard that I think want Connive, like the Monument decks. Like Conniving is pretty good, and it happens every time you attack. You draw a card, then discard a card. A lot of things do work off of discarding in the format. Even the top deck right now, Vivi, is working off of like putting things in your grader, discarding, finding what you need. Now, is this card going to go in those type of decks? Probably not, because it's just underwhelming with stats-wise. Flash is kind of cool, though. It gets bigger, but definitely a really good limited card. I think the Flash does kind of push this over the top. We have a 5-mana Wrecking Ball, and it deals 5 damage to a creature that comes in, and you can discard it to destroy an artifact. Now, this is kind of cool because it says discard this card, destroy target artifact. So again, it's going to work off, I'm assuming there's a big discard element in this set, and yeah, so you don't have to cast it for the 5, you discard it if there's things that actually work with artifacts in the graveyard. Yeah, pretty nifty little card. All right, Grow Extra Arms. This spell costs 1 less to cast if it targets a spider, and it gets +4/+4 until a turn. So it's like a strictly better giant growth for a spider, and is basically on par with a lot of their spells that have been printed in history for 2 mana for 4. Surveil 2, and you draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life. Risky Research, we've seen tons of cards like this printed in every set. We have the City Pigeon. When it leaves the battlefield, you get a food token. So it's kind of cool. It says leaves the battlefield, not dies. Now, would this want to go in like a flicker type effect deck? I'm not sure. But yeah, it is at least a food left over when it leaves. So if it dies, that works. If not, if you have ways to flicker it, it works as well. With the News Helicopter, when this creature enters, create a 1/1 green and white human citizen token for so 3 mana for 1/1. Again, we see these quite often in many sets. They print these 3 mana that create a token. We have the Spider No More. Enchanted creature is a citizen with base power 1/1 and loses all abilities. So we see these basically printed in every set. These used to be expensive in Commander. There was only a couple of them printed, once upon a time of these type of effects. It's just like nullified like people's commanders, but they get more and more common every set. So we've seen these before. Very good removal spell nonetheless. We have the Spider Islanders. We have a 4/3 Mayhem. You may cast this card from your graveyard if you discarded it this turn. So it's like a little bit better than Madness because you don't have to use it immediately. I know Madness does have some implications though when it actually is better, like on your opponent's turn. But strictly speaking, these are cards that do find their way into like even constructed. And if you do have a lot of ways to make them work, again with this Pumpkin Bombardment, it just keeps getting better and better. As a 4/3 for 2 mana is definitely really good. Like these type of cards I've seen playing like even Pauper before because it's quite easy to play. I'm trying to think of the one that makes you discard a card. And then, yeah, it's very similar to this one. And then, so basically for 3 mana, you remove something and get a 4/3 on board on your turn 3. Not too shabby. We have Damage Control Crew, a 4 mana for a 3/3 when this creature enters. Choose one, repair, target, or repairs, return target card with mana value 4 greater from a graveyard or hand, which is fine. 4 greater. I guess 4 greater is a little bit weird. It'd be have to like mill before that. But you can also exile target artifact enchantment. This is very good. This again is something that I would assume would be close to constructed playable. With the stats are fine with 4 mana for 3/3, exile an artifact, leave a body behind, or even has that Eternal Witness-esque type ability. A little bit overcost at 4. I mean, there's a huge difference between 3 to 4, but given the options, I think actually does. And then this is also pretty cool with like a flicker type effect, though you can really abuse these type of things. So really cool card nonetheless. So we have, this is actually kind of neat too. Speaking of Kona, I'm thinking if we go back to the Phoenix Down version, you want to find more cards that actually work really well with Phoenix Down, and this is like actually something that has a lack of options, and I think this is a very good option for like a self-milling deck, as well as ways to get value out of being able to have some sort of control kind of attached onto it with exiling artifacts and enchantments, which are very problematic right now in Standard. We have the Chameleon to Disguise as Mayhem, and you may have Chameleon enter as a copy of a creature you control, except his name is Chameleon Master of Disguise. So kind of cool card. You can get out for less for Mayhem, and it's just like, again, the clone type effect for 4 mana. Yeah, so far I'm actually really liking this set. So far, yeah, I don't know. I thought Final Fantasy is quite boring as far as the set design was concerned, and this one has been pretty spicy. Like, the cards haven't been like duh and powerful so far. But again, I've opened up one and a half packs, so who am I to judge it? Spider-Man Noir. So we have a 4/4 menace when a creature you control attacks alone, put a +1 counter on it, then surveil X, where X is the number of counters on it. So it does trigger if itself. It gets bigger and bigger with surveilling X. No, just because it's +1 counter, okay. So each time. So it just gets a better surveil every time. Then we have Friendly Neighborhood. Enchant land when this aura enters, create 3 1/1 green and white human citizen creature tokens, and the land has target creature you control gets +1/+1 until in turn for each creature you control. So effectively, it's definitely going to give you probably +3/+3 with the 1 in tap. Yeah, you get 3 bodies for 4 mana. This can be abused with certain things that cheat in auras or flicker auras and whatnot. But all in all, it does seem quite underwhelming, I would assume. Because the Enchanted Land still has to tap as well, so it's basically like 2 mana for this ability. And we have the Electro Assault Battery. Flying, you don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases in, and whenever you cast an sorcery spell, add. Oh boy. So this card just seems absolutely bonkers. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is one of the more expensive rares in the set, because this is just catnip to a lot of Storm players in Commander. And in fact, this is going to enable very Storm type brews in Standard, where whenever you cast an source, you add it at a red. So this is Burgie's type ability. I know that it gets off of any red spell cast. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's like a $40 card now, if I'm not mistaken. No, maybe it's not that high anymore. Anyway, but it's a very highly sought after card. So this is definitely hit the foil version. When it leaves the battlefield, you may pay X, where if you do, he deals X damage to target player. So it is a way to actually storm up, and if you have like a sacrifice effect to then actually use the mana that you stormed up with, which is very interesting. This is a win con on top of the enabling card. This card just seems absolutely bonkers. Like, bannable, I'm not quite sure at this point if like a Standard or a Modern or a Pioneer deck can actually like break this card, but it's definitely in the discussion. It will not surprise me if even if now, I mean, again, this is how I'm not, like this is kind of, this is an innocent way of me looking at stuff, because I honestly haven't even looked at spoilers and did not know this card existed, so there might be brews out there that already broken this. I have to see if this is like a really highly played Commander too, because this card just seems insane too. Yeah, it is legendary too. So legendary does have, as far as a constructed format, that's a drawback, but definitely for like Commander, it's not, because people can play this as a Commander. And now we get to look at the common cycle of lands, which is a dual land with Surveil 1. Fine, it's fine. We see these cards often printed with Scry, Surveil, that sort of thing. All right, so wow, we got the bomber. So far, I'm definitely liking black-red. It's pretty good, and even red-blue seems pretty fine too. We got some playables there. White actually seemed okay too. We got some playables there, so we'll definitely be dependent on these cards coming up. And maybe we'll go a little bit quicker here. We have Lifelink at 2/1. This creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. Commander, people might like that because the Lifelink will actually 4 mana. You'll do 3 damage, gain 3 life. Yeah, it's got like a mana dump on it. And certain builds, even in Limited. Like Limited, sometimes the board states get really, really clogged, and this is like a card that can like slowly turn things in your favor. Web Up. So we see these in now it seems to be one in every set, where you just exile and tell. So it's Oblivion Ring type ability. So now in Commander, I'm sure you can run like 10 Oblivion Ring type effects. We have the Mysterium's Phantasm. Flying Vigilance whenever this creature attacks middle card. We have Inquiry Rabble. Trample for 2/2 whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater. Deals 1 damage to opponent. And you can put 2 counters on it for 6 mana. So again, another board state where it actually can become more relevant. And a 2/2 for 2 mana is fine. And we've seen this one. 1/5 with a 7 mana, draw 2 cards. A little bit pricey to draw that 2 cards late game, though. Again, It does seem like this set is trying to encourage these board states that do get clogged to have someone that can actually eke out some like mana dumps to gain an advantage, which is kind of cool. So it's like, I like these skilled-based formats where that comes into effect if you can actually manage resources better. Oh, we got another enters draw card. So basically the Llanowar Visionary type effect in hybrid colors. So enters draw card. I think this is quite playable in multiple. I wonder if even like Flicker wants just something that draws cards at this point. We have the Spiderbot, a 2/1 reach. When this creature enters, you may search your library for basic land and reveal it on top. We've seen these in most sets now too. A little fixer that can go in plenty of decks if you need fixing. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 and has menace and is a symbiote. In addition to its other types, you may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its cost. So it's another. This is a really cool card because it does enable all those Mayhem cards. The 1/1 menace might be a little bit irrelevant in some decks. That definitely will be relevant. But again, this is a Mayhem enabler, which is really cool. The Spider UK, web slinging. You may cast a spell for 3 if you also return a tapped creature you control to its owner's hand. So this is actually relevant if you do want something that does go back to the hand. So going back to like this nice little curve, we can go 2-drop, 3-drop here, and that's fine. So you'd have to have a tapped creature though. Ooh, tap's kind of weird. That is a really, you may return a tapped creature you control to its owner's hand. So somehow you have to tap it. So I don't know if this guy would survive an attack. And then, at the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more creatures enter the battlefield under your control this turn, you draw a card and you gain 2 life. This one's like it's really cool because you can reduce stuff. You can get an extra ETB effect of the thing you return back to your hand. But casting 2 cards in a turn. Oh, okay, it always triggers. Actually, this is kind of cool because it'll trigger from then on out. You'll start to draw cards and gain 2 life. So actually, pretty sweet card actually. We have Spider-Man India, which is a web slinging. Again, we've read that ability for reducing it, and whenever you cast a creature spell, put a +1 counter on target creature you control. It gains flying until end of turn, so a lot of value of casting lots of creatures. We have the Spider Punk, Riot. Other spiders you control have Riot, and spells and abilities can be countered, and damage cannot be prevented. So word salad in this guy. Which is definitely a decent little cyber card for many constructed things. The Riot's pretty good because it basically enters with a +1 counter or haste. So you get a 2/1 haste or a 3/2 on curve for 2 mana. And all your additional spiders in this format, there's tons of them. And then spells and abilities can be countered. It's actually quite strong. This is actually a very, very strong card. And wow, look at that. We got another Spider UK in the same pack. Legendary though, so kind of hard to play both of them. So lots of legendaries in this set. I wonder if that's going to actually affect the kind of the experience of Limited with being stuck with too many legendaries without killing one of your own. We have a Mayhem. This is actually a pretty cool card for 3 mana. 4 damage to start creature, and then Mayhem can reduce it. Yeah, I think that so far with these packs, we're definitely into red. We have a Reach Trample Ward 2/2, so we have basically a Colossal Dreadmaw reprint here, which is a little ward. I guess it doesn't have, does it have Colossal Dreadmaw as Reach Trample? Maybe I'm thinking it's Trample something, 6/6. And then Ward 2. We have the Common Crook. When it dies, you create a treasure token, a nice little 2/2 bear. We have the Selfless Police Captain, which is a bear because it enters +1 counter, and when this creature leaves the battlefield, put its +1 counters on target creature control. This is an ability that seems to be very, yeah, it's happening a lot in each set. Unstable Experiment, target player draws a card, then up to 1 target creature you control connives. So you basically can get a draw and a draw discard. So this is actually quite playable in Constructed. It's definitely playable in Limited, but it's absolutely playable in Constructed, just drawing a card and then having the ability of connive. Yeah. We have the Eerie Gravestone. When this enters, draw a card and sacrifice this artifact, mill 4 cards. You may put a creature from among them into your hand. I was going to say on top of your library, but so this is effectively draw 2 for 2, and dang, I'm liking this card. So in Standard, I can already see some decks that would definitely want to use it because the mill 2 for 2 mana is kind of what one of the, I guess you'd have to do it the turn after those. So you have to put the investment in it, then play it. But still, it's not bad. It's something that also can be like blinked just to keep drawing cards. And typically these type of cards are, so like anything that uses like an artifact as being able to be sacrificed or yeah, it works with that. Just basically for the draw card, we've seen things like Prophetic Prism just be played just for that ability. So when it comes to play, draw a card. And then just the upside here. So really super, super strong card. We have the Spider Manifestation. So a 2/2 bear that can then tap for mana, and whenever you cast a spell with mana 4 or greater, untap this creature. So it is a really strong card. Definitely playable. We have a 3/3 Death Touch at the beginning of your end step. If a creature died this turn, target creature you control connive. So first of all, like if you've noticed a lot of this stuff too, like this is really mid, low to the ground type cards. Not really bomby so far, which is pretty cool. We have Heroes Hangout. We have the Date Night. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them. Now we have see this works with our kind of promo here. Until your next turn, you may play that card, or 1 or 2 target creatures you just get +1/+0 and first strike. So this is kind of cool in like heroic decks. The Double Strike, and it can't be blocked for a 1/1. Great thing to put those auras on, equipments on. And we have the Urban Retreat. So actually is this base, they're going to have different ones here. So we got the one with Mayhem, and now we have the Bant one that actually return a tap creature control to its owner's hand, put this card from your hand onto the battlefield. So it like ramps by returning a tap. So it's got this the spider web, whatever the spell, what do they call it? The web slinging ability on this Urban Retreat. So maybe, I guess the Grixis will have the Mayhem. So what are we thinking of now? Like, Connive's still a thing? I'm not sure what the other, I should look at spoilers to know what the other lands do. That's cool. It's not like a run. It's like a different, they have their own unique like abilities attached to them. The Black Cat Cunning Thief. Okay, so when Black Cat enters, look at the top 9 cards of your target opponent's library, exile 2 of them face down, then put the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. You may play the exiled cards for as long as they remain exiled, and mana of any type can be spent. So you get another card that goes with our promo, which is kind of cool. So little synergy going on there. And this is just like a strictly, like a more expensive Gonti. So Gonti was a very, very, very popular commander actually for quite some time. And we got another Wraithvicious Vigilante and an Omniscience Asylum. And right now, guys, it's going to be really, really tough for me to, these last 2 backs to justify going anything over like red-black with this pool. But there is some nice little white-green looks pretty decent. I mean, blue does have some decent cards, but man, red-black just seems so complete with the removal. That's the only colors I believe it has removal so far, except for like blue had 1 and white had 1, if I remember correctly. All right, the Mysterious Phantasm attacks middle card. We saw it. We have the Trample. We saw this card as well. Another bear that goes perfectly in a lot of these Craven Cats, which are not to be underestimated. We have the Flash Flying Mayhem. Mayhem looks so beautiful in this color combination. I'm really liking red-black. Web Slinging, Spider-Man Slinger. I think these are going to be a little bit too tough to actually make work with the returning a tapped creature. Spider-Bot. We got another Spider Manifestation, which should easily just go in a red deck to ramp up the stuff. Another Eerie Gravestone. Oh boy. And the Living Brain Mechanical Marvel. Beginning of combat on your turn, target non-equipment artifact creature control becomes an artifact creature with base power 3/3. Hey, this is a good little way to turn your Eerie Gravestones into stuff, but I don't know. It's very, very rough and limited to make it work. We do have another Sudden Strike now, removal in white, destroy target attacking or blocking creature. We have the Superior Foes of Spider-Man. Trample, whenever you cast a spell with mana 4 or greater, you may exile the top card of your library. If you do, you may play that card until you exile another card with this creature. So now we're starting to get some work in with the interdimensional. So we have the Superior Spider-Man. If you may have Superior Spider-Man, enters a copy of any creature card in your graveyard except his name is Superior Spider-Man. He's a 4/4 Spider-Man hero. Okay, this one's actually really cool. So here's the first card so far they've opened up that seems really, really fun to brew around. So having this enter is just some sort of like Valgaloth is pretty good. So I mean, that's the duck card right off the bat. Is out of Duskmourn, the 9/9 that then has ward, and whenever your opponents cast stuff, it exiles it. And so this goes in like a self-mill type strategy. You get the Valgoth in the graveyard, you just cast this for 4, and you have it enter as it is. And again, this is actually like an Icona brew with like the Phoenix down. I know you're like really, really tough colors at that point, but it'd be another way to like turn 3 of Valgoth by getting this out and then having it enter as that. Guy in a Chair. Yeah, okay. Is that... Yeah, add 1 mana of any color for 3 mana, and then you have 3 mana, put a +1 counter on target. Spider activates only as a sorcery, so kind of a filler card. And we got these really cool lands with the mana symbols that are web-stitched. Last card, and then we'll give our overviews of the set so far. We have cards we've seen so far, another Scorpion Sting, and another Dr. Octopus, a Taxi Driver, which can give Sing Haste, a 3/1, aggressive shell is fine, another Eerie Gravestone. We have a Vibrant Cityscape. Sacrifice, search your library for basic land, and put on the battlefield, tap, shuffle. So it's another now decks can run even another Evolving Wilds. The Raging Goblinoids, Haste and Mayhem for 3. So we have a 4/3, a 5/4, lots of them that work on the discard. You have the Sunspider Nimble Weber. has flying during your turn, and an enter search your library for an aura equipment card to reveal and put in your hand. It's actually a really cool ability. There was some auras, so this is synergized with the land one, but I didn't see a lot of other ones in this besides the Mayhem. We have the Scarlet Spider Cane, which is when it enters, you may discard a card and Mayhem, and put it, if you do +1, so it comes into 3/2. If you discard a card, it can actually chain off other Mayhems. So yeah, I am just loving the synergy with our black and red here. We have Cosmic Spider-Man, which is a 5 mana, so this might be popular with the commander. Flying, first strike, trample, lifelink haste. So too bad the card rotated that wanted to exile cards from your graveyard and gain all the keyword abilities. So in Soul Flare builds in Pioneer, this is definitely an interesting card that will be a strict upgrade for that deck. Because flying, first strike, trample, lifelink, haste on one creature is fine. At the beginning of combat on your turn, other spiders you control gain flying, first strike, trample, lifelink, haste until end of turn. So this is a card, like, if I could justify trying to add enough mana to make it work for a 5-color deck, this card is absolutely bonkers, going to take over the game, but it's going to be very, very rough to actually make it work. So in this little thing, it's not the greatest opening because it's going to be very, very tough to ever, in limited, make it work. We have the Flying Octobot, and whenever another villain you control enters, you put a counter on this creature. This ability triggers once a turn, and we have a Sinister's Hideout. So is fixing in Grixis, so we do have the Grixis land. So that's probably the route I would go, this off the thing. I think there probably is enough to justify running the blue in there. We do have that Spider-Man that enters as a copy as something in our graveyard. I don't know if we have a lot of payoffs, though, for it, because we do have a lot of way to self-mill. And, like, with all of those eerie gravestones, like, we could definitely go some sort of route to try to make this work. And at that point, you could justify. I could actually say this might be justified to run that 5/5 color of every color, because we have ways to pitch it in our graveyard. We have ways to mill into it, and we have ways to then copy it off the graveyard. Probably not enough. We don't have any reanimation, though, so I don't think that'd be like a viable thing to do with our cards. So all in all, though, like the red-black is very, very, like this between the Scorpion Stings and we have a 4-mana removal spell, a 3-mana removal spell. I think that is just the route to go. I think going this route too, we have enough ways to make the exile work within Interdimensional Web Watch that probably would justify running this. I mean, it is kind of a draw spell. The problem with this deck is it also wants to be kind of aggressive with not enough cards to justify going like an aggro route. However, though, it does have enough things where I think you could go like a deck that just really focuses on staying power, which means that you create like a board state, and then your opponents have to deal with it, and you have ways to kind of draw and gain card advantage and continue to put out pressure, which is one of my favorite ways to actually play in Limited for sure. So overall, I would say this set is very, very fun. Like, this is kind of the catch-22. I guess not the catch-22, double-edged sword. I don't know what the analogy you want to say here about Universes Beyond. I've been very critical because I have been on record kind of being a Magic purist, of wanting to go back to Magic and things that were more, traditionally Magic sense. And I don't know, people want to play Spider-Man, they could go play a Spider-Man game. But I changed my tone completely, because I think the one good thing that has come out of Universes Beyond is it's kind of forced a lot of the design team to get very creative with trying to like figure out ways to make Magic cards that are still Magic, that also have like these little mechanic things that are very, very thematic to the content that they're actually doing. So one of my problems I'm having with Dragonstar here is Dragonstar here just really seems like it was like the opposite. Like a lot of just like abilities we've seen before on so many different cards that are now mixed Magic. Like the criticism that we had for, I'm trying to think of the Eldraine card, what's the one that was 4/4 that had haste, couldn't be blocked by creatures 2 or less. Like the word salad card. It's like, okay, we're just gonna throw this card on the card and give it word salad. And it wasn't like a fun card to brew around. It just was like, we're gonna put a ton of abilities on one card and just make it super strong. And that's like the type of Magic I kind of want to go away with. And I felt like Tarkir was really that set. And like these sets where with these Universes Beyond, they've had to be a lot more creative with how they make these mechanics. And this one seems really cool, where I definitely can start seeing the mix and match of different archetypes. Like you definitely want, like Mayhem, of course, has been, and returning tap creatures back to their hand type thing for the Bant colors. However, you can definitely mix match colors and find your own little flavors you can play and centers you can play with this. So overall, I'm excited for the set. It should be fun. So if you are available for your pre-release, I highly encourage you to go play in your pre-release. That is something that I'm trying to focus on more on my channel. Is, like I said, I'm kind of been down in the dumps with the latest, like, again, the cultural shift with trading cards, where trading cards have just really been just swallowed up by this whole speculative bubble of like, you know, people getting into, I mean, it's fun to collect, sure. Collecting is great, but you have to have a purpose to collect to begin with. And that's where trading cards have been so neat in the past. But when it's kind of inverted, where the focus is now on collecting over playing, it's just kind of, I don't know. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying interacting with people. They have that mindset. I'm not enjoying it of running a store where that's my, majority of my customer base that's just more interested in tripling up their money, or the prospect of tripling up their money, where, booster packs have always been a lottery. They've always been, gambling light, but in this day and age, they're like full on, in my opinion. Now you're hearing of stories of how chocobos have changed people's lives because they were able to sell a chocobo for 50 grand, and it's just like, oh, why do we have to have this in a trading card? Why can't we just go back to the days where it was just about fun, playing games, meeting together, slinging spells? But I guess I'm just a boomer, and I don't understand that side of the industry. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with God Games, where I'm at. I'm on the rogue deck builder. Too many channels, need to consolidate. Thanks for watching.